and welcome to episode 34 of season 4 already here at the WiSP News Desk. I'm Chris Stafford alongside Nancy Gillen, and we've got a whole load of sports news for you this week, of course, not least of all football. We had the England and Austria World Cup qualifying game there in Austria, and over here the USWNT played Nigeria, and we'll play them again tomorrow. So we've got that to talk about. We've got cricket, we've got rugby, we've got boxing, and more rugby. So we have quite a few topics this week, Nancy, but how are things over there, the other side of the pond?
Yeah, good, thank you. Getting into autumn now, summer's coming to an end, getting darker, but that also means the start of the Women's Super League over here, which is really exciting, and a lot of other really cool, exciting women's sporting events happening September too. So yeah, with autumn comes new events to look forward to.
Yep, new seasons ahead of us. So as I mentioned at the top there, you did have a World Cup qualifier, and England now have qualified for the World Cup Down Under next year. So we can check that box, which also means that you can play the US in the friendly coming up in October 7th. So that box is firmly checked. It looked like a pretty straightforward game there for England, though, Nancy, wasn't it? A 2-0 win, Alessia Russo and Nikita Parris being the goal scorers there. What was your summary of that game?
Yeah, I think it was quite a comprehensive victory, really. I think Austria are always definitely a tough team to beat. I think England have played them a lot of times recently at both the Euros, World Cup qualifiers, friendlies as well. We seem to just we play Austria quite a lot, and they are quite a defensively sound, organised team. Normally frustrate their opponents, and we normally beat them 1-0. That seems to kind of be the common scoreline when we play Austria. But yeah, this time it was 2-0. I think it was kind of quite similar to how it kind of usually transpires. Just kind of having to rely on some good attacking moves to get the goals. But yeah, Russo, really good to see her scoring with Ellen White having retired a few weeks ago, because Russo's kind of now going into that starting striker spot. So good to see her, start the game and score. And then Nikita Parris as well, obviously had a bit of a tough season last season at Arsenal. Didn't really play that much. Didn't play too much at the Euros either. So good for her confidence, I guess, for her to come on and score. And yeah, at the end of it was kind of, a pretty straightforward win. I think it was kind of, if we hadn't qualified for the World Cup then, it would certainly have been the match against Luxembourg, where we probably would have got World Cup qualification. So I suppose they weren't playing with too much pressure there. And yeah, good to get the job done, and hopefully against Luxembourg, try out some new players, maybe put some of the younger players in the squad on and have a bit of rotation.
Yeah, I saw Sarina Wegman's press conference today, I believe it was, when she said that there could be some changes. She indicated that when you play Luxembourg, again, it's a World Cup qualifier, but you've checked that box now. That game takes place at Stoke City tomorrow, September 6th, the same day that we play Nigeria again, but ours is a friendly. But to go back to England, that means that we might see some changes there in the starting lineup and the substitutions there, Nancy. So I think that will be interesting. She'll really want to test out some of those players. I think, this is all a testing, isn't it? To see who's going to replace those two that have just retired, as you mentioned, Ellen White and Jill Scott. So who's going to be starting now? So the Luxembourg game, which should be straightforward, I would imagine, a high-scoring match for England. And then, of course, playing the US in a friendly. And as Serena said, we've got to play the top teams. And I think that will be a very interesting game. We'll have lots more to talk about if that comes around in October. But for a number of reasons, I think that's going to be very interesting on both sides, right? For the US and for England, with their new starting lineups, with their new players coming in, trying new players out. It's all, the eve of the World Cup year. So lots to look forward to there. And to talk about, Nancy, we won't be short of conversation when that game comes around next month.
Definitely not. And I think it's definitely two teams that could win the World Cup that have a good chance. I think that's why it's so exciting. Kind of see how both teams are against each other, and both quite new look teams. I think England might have a bit of an advantage in that they've had the Euros. I know the US have also been in a tournament, but kind of the Euros, they've been playing like the really high caliber teams compared to the US. So in that sense, the US might be on the back foot a bit, but obviously they want to be playing teams like England to then get in the kind of form they need to for the World Cup. So I'm incredibly excited for that one. It's going to be incredible.
Me too. All right. We will bring you that as it happens. So just going over to the US now, over here at last week, it was at the weekend on Saturday in Kansas City, the US played a friendly, the first of two friendlies against Nigeria. They won 4-0 convincingly. No surprises there. Sophia Smith scored 2 goals, and no surprisingly, that girl is on fire right now. Nice to see Lindsey Horan, though, score. She scored in the 25th minute in between those 2 goals of Sophia's. And then Alex Morgan, she couldn't go wrong really from the spot. She scored a penalty in the 52nd minute. So it was a really easy win for the US, not at all surprising. Although Nigeria have got some players that play in the NWSL. So, not to put that team down too much, because they've got some quality players as well. And they will come back again and meet us for a second of those 2 friendlies tomorrow on the 6th of September at the Audi Field in Washington, D.C. And I can't go. But we talked about this, Nancy, how expensive those tickets were as well, which got me pretty mad when I saw the difference between what you would pay over there and what we're paying over here. A big difference, $140 for a ticket over here. So that wouldn't have stopped me going. Possibly not. I'm sure. I think I would pay that. Certainly I would have paid that if we were playing England. I think that's what we need to do, Nancy. Once we've played England at Wembley, then I think England should come over here, and it should be a double-header, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that benefits both teams, and hopefully you'd get to go to the match as well. So win-win all round.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll bring you the outcome of those 2 games on the show next week. That's the England-Luxembourg World Cup qualifier at Stoke City on the 6th of September, and over here, the friendly against Nigeria in DC. So all that to look forward to next week. We'll break that down for you. But we're going to move on to cricket before we get to the US Open, which is ongoing. We're in the second final week here of the US Open. But there's also the cricket that we haven't talked about much, because rather what got overshadowed by the Euros and then the Commonwealth Games, and a lot of athletics, of course, were happening in Europe this summer. But cricket has been playing out in the form of that 100 trophy, which we talked about last year a lot, that made its debut. And the crowds there, Nancy, they culminated in a final at Lord's, of course, the home of cricket in London, in North London. And the Oval Invincibles won that trophy. But the crowds were amazing there. 20,840, which was another record official attendance at the Lord's Cricket Ground for the hundreds women's final there. And I know you got a taste of it last year, but did you get a chance to follow much of it this season?
I did a little bit, not really watching, even though it is pretty accessible on TV. But like you said, there were so many events going on, but just kind of keeping up with it through, the news and Twitter, social media. But again, what was noticeable, I think, was the crowds that were turning out for it. It works quite nicely that it's not so much that they do have double headers with the men's tournament, but it's that they're the same teams. So kind of, I think, because the competition has started for men and women at the same time, and they're in the same teams, you get invested in a team as opposed to whether it's the men or the women's team, if that makes sense. So I think that's definitely played into it. And I just think, I went last year. I didn't get to go this year, but it's just pretty accessible. It's quite cheap. It's just a fun day out. So it's just quite attractive for people to go and watch women's cricket. It's absolutely amazing to see those crowds. And I think there was that we talked about a story a few weeks ago where that it actually makes cricket like the most watched women's domestic sport in the UK, I think, over football, because I think the 100 on average has higher crowds than the WSL, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it like that. So, yeah, I know obviously the 100's had its critics and there's, pros and cons to it. But in terms of what it's done for the women's cricket, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. And I know Beth Wild, we've had her on the show before. She is the manager of the 100. She's been getting so excited on Twitter. If you've been following her on Twitter, oh my goodness, the crowds and the excitement of the crowds too, and how they got behind the team, to your point, they really got behind their team during this tournament, and to be able to play out, at the home of cricket at Lord's and these big stages is only bodes well for the sport, for the future of the sport, because more people can see the interest that it's generating, and I think they'll just increase the numbers too. So I can well imagine that they would continue to grow their crowds, and I think the total women's competition attendance for the 100 was an average of 10,000 and total over 270,000. That's 3,000 higher than in last year, with 8 fewer matches. So it's growing exponentially, Nancy. Hopefully you'll be able to watch some more next year.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, again, it's probably going to clash with the Women's World Cup, but, it's not a bad problem to have too much women's sport on at the same time.
All right, let's flick over to the US Open. As I said, it's the second week of the US Open at Flushing Meadows. And we saw some surprises last week, didn't we? What were the headlines for you, Nancy, as we get into this second week and the fourth round now, which have got underway as we speak here on Monday, on Labor Day over here in the States?
Yeah, I think a fair few big stories. I think there's been quite a few, I suppose, top seeds kind of being beaten. I think first probably have to talk about the defending champion going out, Emma Raducanu losing her opening match, which I don't think is too much of a surprise. But yeah, kind of gives her a chance to reset now and kind of continue on the WTA tour without that pressure of being a US Open champion. And yeah, there's been quite a few other of the bigger players going. I think Simona Halep was one of my shouts for the title when she's gone. Same with Daria Kina, Naomi Osaka, 2-time winner, went. I think Maria Sakkari, the Greek player, also lost. So there's more than that I can't remember, but there's been a fair few.
And of course Serena Williams was beaten by the Australian. And that was of course a big game here, because there's probably her last, and certainly last at the US Open. And as we speak, Petra Kvitova has been beaten by Jessica Pegula 6-3, 6-2. That was in the fourth round, round of 16. Sorry, that just happened. So. And Iga Swiatek is currently on court. She's playing Julie Niemeyer at the moment, and that's going with serve. But yeah, some surprises, I thought. But what I'm looking forward to, there are a few things I'm looking forward to, and I think Ons Jabeur, of course, she's going to be playing Aya Tomanovic, who beat Serena Williams. So in the quarterfinals, and Coco Gauff is going to be playing Caroline Garcia, and I think Caroline Garcia may have a secret weapon. She may get further. She may get through to the semifinals. It's my prediction. She's been playing really well. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's definitely for me the match of the round, really, because I also think Coco Gauff's been playing really well. I know Caroline Garcia's had a 10-match unbeaten run. I think she is in really, really impressive form, and I also remember watching her at Wimbledon, and she looked really great there as well. So that's two really, really strong players coming up against each other in the quarterfinal.
Coco beat Shuazhang. The Chinese, but 7-5, 7-5.
Yeah,
so she's feeling strong.
I don't know how much of the home advantage might come into play, because I know that she's been getting a lot of really good support. But yeah, that's a match that I'm really looking forward to, because like you said, I think potentially maybe whoever wins that one, you could say, would go on and win it. I don't know. Coco Gauff got to the French Open final, so has gone that far in a Grand Slam this season. So yeah, that's a really juicy looking tie.
Yeah. But let's not forget that Caroline Garcia beat the American Risk Armitage 6-4, 6-1. So she knows what it feels like to beat an American. So she may sense blood now she gets some against Coco Gauff again and see if she can beat another American 2 games running. But yeah, Ons Jabeur, I know we like her, don't we? And we love her game, but Tomljanovic has been playing so well. She was so strong and so resourceful against Serena Williams that she could be a surprise too. Who knows? Because she's not seeded, of course, and Ons is seeded number 5. So, yeah, I guess are we putting any money on this at this point with the quarter still to play?
Yeah, it's still so unpredictable. It really is. Everything that I've predicted has basically gone wrong, so I don't really want to curse anyone.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to stick my neck out with Caroline Garcia. See how far she can go.
I think that's a good shout. I think I'd say that whoever wins that match is my favourite to win. Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, we'll have more thoughts on this, of course, next week in the show, and we have a new US women's champion. All right. More of that to come. And this week, would you get to watch much of it with the time difference? Of course, it's hard, isn't it? 5 hours difference. And that would make for a very late night for you. But is there a coverage extensively for all the top games like there is here? Yeah. So it's on Amazon Prime. So I can put it on there, and it does as you progress into the tournament, the times does get a bit better. Like obviously now I could watch Swiatek, and then I think it's Azarenka versus Pliskova, so I could watch those games, those matches. And I think I remember the US Open final last year was kind in terms of time difference here. So yeah, I think as the tournament progresses, it's easier to watch the kind of bigger matches that are, they're on at more social hours. But yeah, sometimes I just have to go to bed. So I understand. All right, we're going to move on to fight that's going to be happening this Saturday, an all-female undercard. Tell us about that. That's happening over on your side of the pond, isn't it? Yeah, so really, really big boxing match between Savannah Marshall and Clarrisa Shields. So again, that's English versus American boxing match. So it's taking place at the O2 Arena in London. I think kind of following on from the big match that Katie Taylor had earlier in the year that was at Madison Square Gardens. I think continuing this momentum for, basically, women's boxing and having them take place in massive crowds. And this one is particularly historic because it does have an all-female undercard, like you said. There's boxers like Michaela Meyer, Lauren Price, Caroline Dubois. They've all got fights, and I think I'm correct in saying it is the first big fight, that's on TV, that's on Sky at the O2 Arena. That's all-female undercard, so that's really impressive. The fight between Shields and Marshall is also going to be really interesting. There's quite an intense rivalry between them. Shields, I think, is unbeaten apart from, I believe it was the London 2012 or some Olympics. Maybe it was the other way around, but one of them beat the other at the Olympics, and then since then they've been unbeaten. Shields is currently the WC, WBA and IBF middleweight champion, and Marshall is currently the WBO middleweight champion. So whoever wins essentially becomes the undisputed middleweight champion. It's quite hard to call, really. Both really strong boxers, and it's going to be quite fiery. I think it's been a long time coming. This fight, it's been kind of been in the pipe worked for ages. So yeah, it should be really exciting.
That's going to be live on Sky Sports on September the 10th then. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of viewers they get for that with the card that they've got. Will you be going since it's in London?
Yeah, so I get through work. I'm going with work. So, yeah, I'll be going to that. So that'd be really cool. In terms of viewers, I don't know because Sky is you have a subscription, so it's not free to air TV. So, I don't really know how many viewers the men's boxing get, so it will be interesting to see that comparison after the fight.
Yeah. All right. Well, bring us more of that next week. You can give us a review of it, Nancy, for those who haven't been able to watch. It's going to be a big Saturday night for you.
Yeah, I think it will start about 6 and go on till like 11, half 11. So yeah, it will be a big one.
Definitely a late night. All right, well, we've got some rugby news, haven't we now? Because I started thinking about the Rugby World Cup, which is actually just over a month away before that starts in New Zealand. October the 8th, that kicks off down under in New Zealand. And obviously that's going to be a major competition, Nancy, for us to cover more extensively. Do you have any thoughts at this point? Do you see a favourite? I know England have been playing so well, but the competition is so tough these days, isn't it, within rugby, both in the 15s and the sevens?
Yeah, I think, definitely my main thought would be that England are kind of hot favourites to win that tournament. They're on a really
even against New Zealand, even against the All Blacks. Well,
yeah, but I suppose because New Zealand came over earlier in the year, didn't they? And England won both matches against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I guess that was different because I know New Zealand hadn't really been able to train or play together because of COVID. So I don't know how much time they would have had between now and then and now to rectify that, but it's definitely a weaker New Zealand team than has ever come before.
But they are playing at home. They are playing in front of a home crowd, so it doesn't give them a bit of an advantage.
That's true. It's very true. So it definitely will be close. I mean, obviously, teams like Australia as well, France. It's gonna be really close. So yeah, really looking forward to watching that. Again, I think that's going to be mainly morning matches for us over here, but I'm sure I can make that work.
Yes. Oh, we'll find a way. Now we're going to stay with rugby for a story which we brought to you a few weeks ago about the transgender players being barred from the sport. But the RFU, the Rugby Football Union in the UK now, is facing legal action against that ban. Nancy, tell us about that.
Yeah, so a transgender player, Julie Curtis, she's mounted a legal challenge against the ban. So she's issued the RFU with a pre-action protocol letter, which is a legal document written to resolve a dispute before court proceedings start. And she said she's been discriminated under Section 7 of the Equality Act, which legally protects people from discrimination in the workplace and wider society, but there are exceptions when it comes to sport. So it sounds like a little bit of a grey area in terms of kind of the law. Yeah, I think there is a section which says it's lawful to restrict the participation of transgender people from sporting competitions where physical strength, stamina or physique are important factors in deciding who wins. But the restriction can only be done to ensure the competition is fair or the other competitors are safe. So essentially it means it's only unlawful discrimination to refuse participation if the competition organisers can show they would have an unfair competitive advantage. And I think, as we know with this whole thing, it's been, it's taken years and years and years, all of this. So it sounds like that legal case, if it did go to court, could be quite a protracted one. But the RFU says it's going to robustly defend the case. And yeah, they've got until the 30th of September to respond to that. So we'll see what happens with that until the end, at the end of the month. But yeah, so Curtis, who is the person that mounted the legal challenge. She was hoping to play for Hova RFC, which are a grassroots team, for the next season. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that, whether because there's a legal case they have to, suspend the ban for a bit, or whether she's not going to be able to play for the team this season. And, yeah, to see how the legal case unfolds.
Yeah, we'll be watching that. And also to mention that in swimming, the FINA, the world governing body, they voted to stop transgender athletes from competing if they'd gone through any part of the process of male puberty. So that would ban them from the women's elite races. But they are planning to establish an open category, Nancy. We mentioned that too, I think, before, because this would be for swimmers whose gender identity is different than the sex they were born with. So this is ongoing in swimming, and also in cycling. Cycling, the UCI, again, the international governing body, they toughened their rules on transgender ability by doubling the period of time before a rider transitioning from male to female can compete. So it just shows how different it is in every sport, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of different sports have decided to do different things. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see whether this legal action has an effect on other governing bodies, or whether they just kind of stick to what they're doing as well.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll bring you more of that as it unfolds. We want to go back to football now before we wrap up this week. And Karen Carney is known in England. She's not known so well here, but she's going to lead a major review of women's football. What's her background, Nancy? Is she a former player?
So Karen Carney, she played for a range of teams, so Chelsea, Arsenal, Birmingham. She was over in the US for a bit as well, and I think she retired she was at the 2019 World Cup. I think it was after that, so like late 2019, early 2020. She's now a pundit for both men and women's football. So yeah, it's quite often on TV doing football stuff. So, yeah, she's been appointed by the Culture Secretary for the UK to chair an in-depth review into the future of domestic women's football. So this is coming off the back of England winning Euro 2022 to make sure that the game, that they want to deliver bold and sustainable growth of the women's game at an elite and grassroots level. So there's going to be a focus on assessing the potential audience reach and growth for the game, examining the financial health of the game and its financial sustainability for the long term, and examining the structures within women's football. So it sounds like it's quite far reaching. I know that Karen Carney as well, she's done can't remember what company it is. It's something like Visa or someone like that, but she has done kind of side work in business as well. So she sounds quite well equipped to be doing this review as someone who is a player, still involved in the game, but then also has that kind of business mindset as well. So yeah, quite exciting, and it's good that the review is happening to make sure that action is taken after the Euros, and we don't just kind of let it all the momentum we built up fade away. So yeah, exciting to see how that ends up and kind of what comes from that, really.
Yeah, it's so important that there's a legacy from grassroots all the way through, right? The ladder and the steps on the ladder have to be a continuum for the sport to work effectively at all levels, obviously. But that's good. That's great. That's good that the government are putting money into it and taking this seriously.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something that's really important, and yeah, hopefully a lot of different voices around women's football will be able to kind of input their thoughts and be productive.
Yeah. Well, good luck to her, and we'll obviously bring you the report when that happens. I'm sure that'll take a little while, as extensive as it's going to be. And I think that's about it for this week, Nancy, except we do have more important news, which really should have led off this week. And that is that you're back running and you have new running shoes. So there's no stopping you now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went and got some new shoes yesterday and went for a run today. So, yeah, it does make a big difference. I think my old shoes were definitely definitely needed to be thrown away quite a while ago. So quite a good motivation to get back out there and hopefully get back into a routine now.
Yeah, the incentive is there. So the running has to come first because you want to be playing football again this season, won't you?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm hoping to find a team somewhere local because the team I was playing for was a bit far away. So yeah, I need to get looking for someone to join quite soon.
Excellent. And do you have a goal yet in the distant goal for running, something like a half marathon? We talked about it before because it didn't look like you had a marathon in mind, but you have some other goals.
Yeah, I think definitely a half marathon. But there's not many that take place over here over winter. So I need to have a look. But maybe something like March, I'd sign up for one and then just have that as my aim over winter. I think that'd be quite good motivation.
Yeah. Well, keep us posted, won't you? I mean, we'll have an update from you each week. Make sure now the training has started, now that you've got your running shoes back, literally and figuratively. Yeah. We'll need progress reports, Nancy, because we'll have to follow you all the way, wherever it is you're going.
Of course.
What are you following this week? Apart from the football, will you get to watch the friendlies against Nigeria or over in the US? Because we couldn't watch the World Cup qualifiers from Europe over here.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get the USWNT games over here. It's only kind of really our own matches. Maybe there might be one on the stream somewhere, but not that I'm aware of. So yeah, we'll be watching England tomorrow. Obviously the rest of the US Open, and then the Shields Marshall fight at the weekend, and then the start of the WSL at the weekend as well. So it's actually quite a fair amount happening this week.
Yeah, got a lot for you to write about. So the WSL starts this week, does it? Okay, and does that mean Arsenal play this weekend?
So they play on Sunday. So they've got a match. Their first match is against Man City. So pretty massive match, really. We always have quite a big fixture at the start of the season. Last season we had Chelsea, and this season we've got City. So should be good. Yeah,
good luck with that. Good luck to England against Luxembourg tomorrow, and to the USWNT in their second game against Nigeria. We'll have a lot more of football and rugby and anything else that comes across our desks in the name of women's sports, Nancy. And just remind everybody where they can read your writings.
Yep, so everything's on Gimme Sport Women. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Gimme Sport W. And then I'm on Twitter myself at Nancy_Gillen, and also on Insta, which my handle is NancyGillen_sport.
Perfect. And we're at WiSP Sports, as always, online at wisports.com and on social media at WiSP Sports. Until next week then, Nancy, enjoy your week of sport from football to boxing. And we'll meet you back here at the same time, same place next week.
Yep, speak next week.
All right. Until then, thank you for listening, everybody, and enjoy your sport.